So hello dear students, welcome back. In this topic, we're going to discuss about allied health sciences, where we are going to look at some golden points from occupational health, disaster, biomedical waste management, as well as genetics. Okay, so let's start with occupational health. Now, what are the most important questions that turn up from this topic? What is pneumoconiosis? So what is pneumoconiosis? It is inhalation of dust particles. Okay, we all know pneumoconiosis is nothing but what? Pneumoconiosis is nothing but inhalation of dust particles. Okay, inhalation of dust particles. And what is the most dangerous size of dust particles, everybody? So please remember, the most dangerous size, which can definitely be asked in your exams, is 0.5 from 0.5 micron up to 3 microns. Okay, so the most dangerous size of dust particles is from 0.5 to 3 microns. Now we all know there are different types of pneumoconiosis, which is a very important table. Okay, it definitely turns up in our exams, guys. Okay, so different types of pneumoconiosis like asbestosis. So why does asbestosis occurs? Also here, whatever you're seeing, it's due to inhalation of inorganic mineral dust, not organic, inorganic. So asbestosis, why does it occur? This occurs due to inhalation of asbestos fibers. Okay, so asbestosis occurs due to inhalation of asbestos fibers. Okay, anthracosis from the word CO, it is coal dust. Okay, aluminosis is due to aluminium fibers. Okay, aluminium dust. Silicosis is silica dust. Okay, most important from here is asbestosis, silicosis, and anthracosis also they ask you. So for anthracosis, remember CO say coal dust. Siderosis, okay, is iron fibers. All right. Barytosis is barium. All right, barium. Lithosis is stone. Okay, and pneumoconiosis, which occurs due to organic or soluble dust. Okay, so you could be asked inorganic mineral dust exposure is asbestosis, anthracosis, silicosis. These are the three most important things which we have to do for exams also. Bisacinosis is inhalation of cotton dust. Okay, this is due to cotton dust. Bagasosis, now G for, this is due to inhalation of sugarcane fibers. Okay, sugarcane dust fibers. Okay, tobaccosis is tobacco. Okay, farmer's lung. Now when you talk about farmer's lung, please remember in this it is inhalation of grain dust or moldy hay. Okay, moldy hay. And bird fancier lungs is due to bird droppings. Now you might be knowing this, you might be remembering this. I just want you to focus on one very important point which I have mentioned over here. Inorganic mineral dust is asbestosis, anthracosis, silicosis, and organic dust fibers, everybody, is BB, bisacinosis, bagasosis, which can turn up in your exams. Farmer's lung as well as bird fancier lung. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now what is the definition, most dangerous, and examples? Now one other thing is that nowadays they're more interested in asking you that in which industry you are working which will lead to you getting asbestosis, exposure to asbestosis or silicosis. So look at this, sandstone industry. If you're working in sandstone industry, granite industry, pottery, ceramic, gold, mica, steel, glass factory, building and construction work, rock mining. So if we are exposed to all this, this can present with silicosis. Okay, also cement exposure to some extent can develop silicosis. But more important for cement factory, fireproof industry, construction and airlines, everybody, this more important, this is asbestosis. Okay, more important, this is asbestosis. Coal mining, we all know coal mining is anthracosis. Okay. Photography, printing, barium. So photography can definitely come up. It is barytosis. Okay, textile industry, weavers and packers. This is again important. This leads to bisacinosis. Okay. Sugarcane factories. Now sugar, G for bagasosis. Okay, G for bagasosis. Now here I've also written working in paper and cardboard factories, because in paper and cardboard factories the residues from sugarcane factories are being used. Okay, so therefore in paper and cardboard factories it puts us at risk of bagasosis. Okay, the fibrous residues from sugarcane factories are being used in paper and cardboard factories. Okay, agricultural industry, of course, farmer's lung, grain dust and moldy hay. Iron mines, iron and steel industry. Okay, so when you talk about iron mines, iron and steel industry, everybody, So yes, of course, it can lead to cirrhosis. Clear? Okay, so remember one thing, very commonly they ask you cement and this thing. Cement में both silicosis and asbestosis can happen. Okay, more commonly if you have to mark one, go for asbestosis. Okay, coal mines हो गया, barytosis, photography, painting, pottery, ceramic, silicosis, textile industry, weavers and packers, biocenosis, sugarcane. Okay, sugarcane factories, bagasosis, paper and cardboard factories is also bagasosis. Now, what are the X-ray changes? Now, I've just made you certain important tables which turn up in the form of PYQs, guys. Okay, so if you talk about ground glass appearance is seen in asbestosis. Black lung. Now, black lung is seen in anthracosis. Okay, anthracosis. Why? CO is what? Exposure to coal dust, and we know coal is black in color, so anthracosis, coal dust. Okay, mottling. Okay, mottling of lung fields you can see in bagasosis. Okay, that is important. All right, so mottling is seen in bagasosis. Fine nodular opacity can be seen in X-rays of farmer's lung. Snowstorm is silicosis. Most important is this ground glass and this silicosis. Black lung you will be able to do it because that is coal dust, so black in color, so anthracosis. Okay. Now epidemiology in India, again some PYQs and golden point. Most common cause of pneumoconiosis is silicosis. Most common cause of mortality and disability is also silicosis. Okay. All right. Certain diseases that are associated with different forms of pneumoconiosis. So mesothelioma, asbestosis का most specific presentation है. Okay. Most specific presentation. Asbestosis leads to cancers. Okay, most specific is mesothelioma. But most common presentation in asbestosis is what? Most common presentation, if anybody asks you in asbestosis, everybody, so that is adenocarcinoma of lungs. Okay, that is what? Adenocarcinoma of lungs. But what is the most specific presentation? That is mesothelioma. Okay, progressive massive fibrosis is seen in anthracosis, and one occupational exposure which is associated with TB, silico-TB. Very, very important. Okay, and here I would like to just mention a point. Okay, that sputum does not show. Okay, sputum does not demonstrate what? Sputum does not demonstrate in case of silico-TB, AFB bacilli. Okay, sputum does not demonstrate in case of silico-TB, AFB bacilli. Okay, that again is very, very important. Now, I've just made a table where two very important pneumoconiosis are asked, silicosis and asbestosis. So, look over here, silicosis is due to exposure to silica dust, asbestosis, asbestos fibers, but silicosis is always affecting the upper part of lung fields. Okay, and asbestosis, B for basal. Okay, B for basal. So, it affects the basal part of lung fields. Okay, plus silicosis, S for S, snowstorm appearance. Asbestosis is presenting with a ground glass appearance. ठीक है, फिर silicosis में क्या होता है? It's affecting the upper part but nodular fibrosis, and for asbestosis base, and then it is diffusing. ठीक है, so diffuse fibrosis. Okay, very important. Silicosis mainly leads to alveolitis. This is affecting the bronchus. Asbestosis, B for bronchiolitis, B for basal part of the lungs. And silicosis is most commonly associated with TB, silico-TB, rather than having a malignant predisposition. It's mostly pre-malignant in the form of TB and all that. But asbestosis mein most important is mesothelioma. This chart is very important, guys. Please don't forget it. Okay, it can come in your exams. Okay, moving ahead. Now, the pneumoconiosis where organisms are involved. Again, a famous PYQ. So, what is it? Bagasosis. Inhalation of sugarcane dust fibers. Okay, and sugarcane, G for bagasosis. What happens? Sugarcane gets infested with which organism? Sugarcane gets infested with Thermoactinomyces saccharine. Very, very important. Okay, Thermoactinomyces saccharine. Farmer's lung mein what is the organism? Moldy hai, grain dust, but which organism is infecting it? Micropolyspora femi. And compost lung is Aspergillus. Okay, please remember this. This is very, very important. Okay, and how can you prevent bagasosis? This question also comes. So we can prevent bagasosis, everybody, by spraying what? By spraying 2% of propionic acid. Propionic propionic acid. Okay, not 1%, 2% of propionic acid. Okay, so organisms you need to know. Now, under Indian's Factory Act, okay, 29 diseases are notifiable occupational diseases, 25 diseases, out of which 4 are pneumoconiosis. Silicosis is notifiable, anthracosis, asbestosis, biocinosis. So the question will come, which disease is not notifiable, okay, among the pneumoconiosis? So please remember, in golden points I am writing, bagasosis is not notifiable, okay? Bagasosis definitely is not notifiable. Another detail, this was like a gist of all the important pneumoconiosis, okay? Now, another important thing that you need to know is lead poisoning. Okay, now lead poisoning is also known as, it's known by different names, Saturnism, okay, plumbism, alright, painter's colic. Why painter's colic? Because lead poisoning is most commonly seen among painters, okay? Alright, now what is the most common cause of lead poisoning? Okay, so the most common mode of lead poisoning, please remember, is inhalation. It can occur via ingestion also, okay? It can occur via skin contact also, but the most common mode of lead poisoning is inhalation. But if they ask you in children, what is the most common route of lead poisoning or mode? Okay, if they ask you among children, what is the most common mode, or if they ask you the route in children, it is ingestion, okay? Why? Because children play with toys and those toys are made of lead. So the most common route in case of children, guys, it is ingestion, but otherwise it is inhalation, okay? Please remember that. Now, sources have been asked, like industrial में manufacture storage batteries, एक बार देख लो, printing में भी, पेंट में भी, शिप बिल्डिंग, लेड पाइप्स, डाइज, ग्लास मैन्युफैक्चरर्स में लेड एक्सपोजर्स होता है, पॉटरी. नॉन इंडस्ट्रियल इज मोस्ट कॉमन, ओके, गैसोलीन. मोस्ट कॉमन सोर्स इज गैसोलीन फ्रॉम ऑटोमोबाइल एग्जॉस्ट, ओके. देन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर थ्रू लेड पाइप्स एंड ऑल्सो एक्सीडेंटल इंजेक्शन ऑफ लेड पेंट्स, सी, फ्रॉम वुड टॉयज बाय चिल्ड्रन. Therefore, what is the most common cause of lead poisoning in children, everybody? Please remember, it is ingestion. Now, this is a very important feature. What is this? This is Bertonian line. Okay, this is what? Bertonian line. Okay, so what is happening in Bertonian line, everybody? So in Bertonian line is an indicator of chronic lead exposure. Okay, chronic lead exposure indicator hai, and this is a deposition of what? Lead sulfide. Okay, what gets deposited? Lead sulfide. You could be asked this. So Bertonian line. एक और line होता है which can come in your exam, something like this. On the nails you see. So what is this? On the nails that you see, these are Mees lines. Mees line is seen in what? Arsenic exposure, okay, or arsenic poisoning. Maybe this can turn up. But Bertonian line, chronic lead exposure, and this is due to deposition of what? Lead sulfide. Now, what is the clinical feature? See, earliest and most consistent feature is facial pallor. Okay. Now here I would like to say, okay, anemia, Bertonian line, abdominal colic, lead palsy, encephalopathy, and this. So you can remember it by A, B, C, D, E. A से क्या है? A से it is anemia. Alright, this is very important. And in this only you can read the earliest and most consistent sign is facial pallor. B say we know Bertonian line. B say B stands for Bertonian line, which is chronic lead exposure. Okay, we have already done chronic lead exposure. C. Now C say it is abdominal colic. And in colic, guys, mostly it is constipation. Okay, in lead poisoning, mostly it is constipation. But yes, diarrhea can also occur. Diarrhea can occur too. Okay? Then D say drop. Drop means what? Foot drop and wrist drop. Therefore, it is saying lead palsy or neuropathy also. Okay? So drop say it is what? Foot drop. Or you could also say there is what? Wrist drop. Then E say encephalopathy. Okay, lead encephalopathy. Now one more thing. The CNS effects which happen, they are due to organic lead compounds. And all these rest, okay, non-CNS effect. Please remember, non-CNS effects are due to what? Non-CNS effects are due to inorganic lead compounds. Okay, inorganic lead compounds. But CNS effects, everybody, are due to what? That is due to organic lead compounds. You can just remember it as A, B, C, D, E. Key point, again, this is a famous PYQ. What is the most sensitive test for lead exposure? So it is coproporphyrin in urine. Sensitive test for lead absorption. If we've been exposed to lead, copropurifine. But if there's a sensitive test for lead being absorbed, this is what? Urine amino levulinic acid. Okay? And what is the quantitative indicator for both lead exposure and absorption? Urine lead levels. Okay? Quantitative exposure for indicator for both lead, this thing. So urine lead level. But if somebody asks you the confirmatory test, it is lead blood levels. Okay? Sensitive blood lead level. Sensitive parameter for hematological response to lead level and treatment. Okay? Whether it's improving or not, that we have to check for basophilic stippling of RBCs. So if exposure to lead देखना है, copropurifine in urine. Lead has been exposed or not, absorbed or not, more confirmatory is UALA, urine में amino levulinic acid, but quantitative indicator for both lead exposure and absorption, urine lead levels. And what is the confirmatory test for exposure and absorption? That is blood lead level. Okay, this is important. One more thing from occupational related chapter it can come is, what is the most common occupation related cancer? So skin cancer is the most common occupation related cancer, and in this, what is it? In this we have squamous cell carcinoma. What do we have? Squamous cell carcinoma. Skin cancers is the most important occupation related cancers. Then there is one question that turns up, that if there is, exposure to dye stuff, dyeing industry, rubber, gas and electric cable industry, okay, this leads to what? Bladder cancer. Please remember this. Okay, this leads to what? Bladder cancer. Dye exposure. Okay, auramine dye, magenta dye, all those things, bladder cancer. And what is the most common form of bladder cancer? Transitional cell carcinoma. Okay, so most common type of bladder cancer, everybody, all these question comes. Okay, is transitional cell carcinoma, and the most common symptom that the person is presenting that time is hematuria. So a question can come that a person is working in a dyes industry, which test would you do in that person? So always do a urine test. Okay, because the most common presentation is hematuria. So before doing a lung test or anything, if they've given you in the option, the first test that you have to do, everybody, is a urine examination which would present with hematuria. Okay, this is very important. Yahi pe I would like to bring to your notice two things. If they give you benzidine exposure, okay, if they give you benzidine, D for, what is D for? Benzidine. So D for bladder cancer. D for bladder. But if somebody asks you benzene, okay, benzene is what? Benzene is leukemia. Okay, leukemia. So I've written this also. See, leukemia predisposing agent, very important. Again, these are all PYQs, guys, which we are discussing over here. So when you talk about leukemia, predisposing agent is benzene. Okay, or also ethylene oxide. But again, I'm going to write over here, if it is benzidine, guys, D for क्या होता है? If it is benzidine, it is bladder cancer. Now see, this is again an important table. So basically we are looking at the entire occupational health with the help of important tables. See, if you see lung may most important, okay, is silicosis, asbestosis, that's okay, more important. Arsenic, cadmium, chromium, that doesn't usually come. Bladder cancer dekho. And also one thing, never say most common occupational cancer is lung cancer. No, it is skin cancer. Bladder, I want you to see this one, benzidine. Okay, like I said, D for bladder. Okay, auramine, all these naphthamine dyes and everything. Okay, so that is bladder cancer. But if leukemia comes, it is benzene and ethylene oxide. These two are PYQs. Okay. Other than that, liver, they have asked vinyl chloride exposure is liver cancer. That can definitely come into your exams. And polyaromatic hydrocarbon, this thing leads to scrotum cancer. Okay, this has also come in exams. Polyaromatic hydrocarbons. This is what? Polyaromatic hydrocarbons. Okay, so exposure to polyaromatic hydrocarbons leads to what? It leads to scrotum cancer. Okay, so these are some important carcinomas with predisposing occupational exposures. One more thing from occupational we need to revise is the rate of sickness absenteeism in India. So number of workers remaining absent during a year by total number of workers. Rate of sickness absenteeism in India is how many days? 8 to 10 days. per person per year. Okay, and this can have social causes because of which people are reporting sick, economic causes. Okay, social causes, economic causes, also we have medical causes. Okay, higher the sickness absenteeism rate, lesser is the satisfaction of the workers with the industry. Now here we'll also quickly discuss two acts, the Factories Act and ESI Act. Now Factories Act you know is of 1948. So according to the Factories Act, okay, what do you know? What do you mean by a factory? So factory is a place or an establishment where 10 or more people are working with electricity or where power is used, and 20 or more people are working without electricity. Without electricity means power is not used. Okay, power is not used. All right, so factory is a place where 10 or more people are working with electricity and 20 or more people are working without electricity. Okay, now here are certain important points under the Factories Act. Please remember, this is very important. According to the Factories Act, any child up to 14 years of age cannot work in a factory. All right, it prohibits the employment of children up to 14 years of age. So employment is only offered beyond 14 years of age. Completely prohibits less than 14 years of age. So a child 0 to 14 years cannot be employed. Okay, cannot be what? Cannot be employed in a factory. Okay, we cannot employ in a factory. But if it is an adolescent, everybody, please remember 15 to 18 years. Here, although adolescent is up to 19 years, but in Factories Act, we are considering up to 18 years. They can be given employment in India if they furnish fitness certificate, if they are certified fit to work by whom? By a certifying surgeon. Otherwise, according to Factories Act, no one up to the age of 14 years can work in a factory. All right, and then please remember there is one more thing over here, that we have duration of work or hours of work. Okay, so when you talk about duration of work according to Factories Act, all right, you need to remember this, that it is 48 hours per week. Okay, 48 hours per week, or you can say 9 hours per day. But if we include overtime, okay, if we include overtime, guys, then it is 60 hours per week. Okay, so be very careful with the question. If it mentions overtime, it is 60 hours per week. Okay, so hours of week has been discussed. Leave it. Okay, and if suppose, here I'll write it, if suppose it is adolescents, okay, if suppose it is adolescents, 15 to 18 years we are here talking about, will they work 9 hours a week, 9 hours per day? No, they can work only up to 4.5 hours per day. Okay, 4.5 hours per day. And please remember, no adolescent and woman, okay, no adolescent, or you could just write like this, adolescent and woman, okay, they can work anytime between 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. should not be employed beyond 7 p.m. Okay, leave with wages, 1 day per 15 days of work for adolescent and 1 day per 30 days of work for adults. Leaves can be accumulated up to 40 days for adolescents and also up to 30 days in adults. Okay, this is extra information. Important is this one. Now, minimum cubic feet per space is 500 cubic feet that every worker should be given. One safety officer, everybody, for 1,000 workers present. One welfare officer for 500 workers. Canteen for 250 workers and creche for 30 women workers. Okay, if there are 30 women workers, we need to have a creche under the Factories Act. And we all know, according to Factories Act, we just did it, Factory Act ke according 29 diseases are notifiable, all right, which included silicosis, asbestosis, biocinosis. Okay, but the question is, which disease not notifiable? Again, I am repeating it, which disease is not notifiable, guys? Not notifiable under Factories Act. So if anybody asks you, please remember it is bagasosis. Okay, bagasosis is not notifiable under Factories Act. Okay, so that's very, very important for Factories Act. Please remember that. Okay, next, what is ESI Act? Employees State Insurance Act of 1948. ESI Act is an important measure of social security and health insurance in India. It covers all the factories in India, but it excludes what? please remember ये सब important है, railways, defense and mines. That is not under the jurisdiction of ESI Act, okay? The Act in the first instance applies to all non-seasonal factories employing 10 or more persons for wages on any days. Like Factories Act में 10 or more persons where power is used, 20 or more persons where power is not used. Here we just have one definition that it employs, that it includes all factories which are employing 10 or more persons, okay? 10 or more persons, remember that. It also covers, now you can see what all it covers. It will not cover railway, defense and mine. So what all it covers, guys, here you can see shops, hotels, restaurants, cinemas, theaters, road, motor, newspaper, and now also medical institutions, okay? This is the logo of ESI. This could definitely come in your exam. Now here, what are some basic this thing, okay? So contribution to ESI corporation, okay? ESI Act is under, please remember, Ministry of Labor, okay? It is under Ministry of Labor. So what is the employer contribution? 3.25% of daily wages. Employee is 0.75%, okay? So what is the total contribution here, guys? What is the total contribution? The total contribution here becomes 4%, okay? And who is eligible for ESI Act, okay? So you could be asked about the eligibility criteria. So who is eligible? Anybody, okay? Any employee whose income is up to 21,000 per month, okay? Up to 21,000 per month, up to rupees 21,000 per month. All right, this is very important. Up to rupees 21,000 per month. In case of disability, please remember, in case of disability, this eligibility criteria can go up to beneficiary income up to rupees, how much? Rupees 25,000 per month. Okay, this is again very important. Employees contribution, and who is eligible. Now, the important thing under ESI Act is definitely the benefits which are provided. Okay, so 3 major benefits, but other than this, also remember, there is a medical benefit. Okay, that medical benefit is a completely cashless benefit. Okay, you have a medical benefit. This medical benefit, everybody, is what? This medical benefit, of course, is a cashless benefit. Okay, it's a cashless benefit. That means in this, what is being done? Full medical care is being offered. Okay, full medical care is offered under this medical benefit. Okay, full medical care is being offered. Like if you are eligible under the ESI scheme and if you fall sick or something, you will be taken care of ESI hospitals. Okay, but most important is sickness benefit at more than 70% of ages for 91 days. Extended sickness benefit at 80% of ages for 2 years, particularly for diseases like TB, HIV and leprosy. This can come. Here I would like to mention one more which could be asked, enhanced sickness benefit. Okay, so what is enhanced sickness benefit, everybody? So if you talk about enhanced sickness benefit, please remember, enhanced sickness benefit is at 100% wages, okay, for 7 days. In case of what? In case of vasectomy, okay, and 100% wages for 14 days, guys, for 14 days. In case of what? In case of tubectomy. Okay? Maternity benefit, yes, 100% wages for 26 weeks now, okay, 26 weeks. And now again, a woman undergoes an MTP or something, then 100% wages. All right, for how many days? 100% wages she's going to get for 6 weeks. Okay, and then pregnancy induced confinement. Okay, this we have discussed. Pregnancy induced confinement means if suppose she suffers from some PIH or something, so then it is also offered at 100% wages for 4 weeks. Okay, that is what pregnancy induced confinement or something. These are very, very important. Here I would also like to mention to you what are the funeral expenses now. The funeral expenses under this is up to rupees 15,000. Earlier it was 10,000. Now it's up to rupees 15,000. Okay, then disablement benefit. Okay, so when you talk about disablement benefit, guys, if it is temporary disablement, then what is it? And if it is permanent disablement, how much it is? So it is at 90% wages. Till person, what happens? Till person recovers. Okay, till person recovers. Permanent is minimum 90% of wages, lifelong. It could be more also as decided by the board. Okay, so ESI Act में ये है. Alright, so this was about major points about ESI Act which you must revise. Okay, there is also one Abhiyan Indradhanush which we have discussed when we were talking about Mission Indradhanush. Mission Indradhanush was for immunization coverage where you have rainbow and a child. Abhiyan Indradhanush mein we have this rainbow and a hospital bed. Okay, what do we have? Rainbow and a hospital bed. This says that hospital bed sheets in ESI hospitals should be changed according to the color of the rainbow. Okay, next let us come to disaster. So that was about occupational health. I hope you'll be able to revise all these points. It's very, very important. Ab aa jao disaster. Now, disaster kya hota hai? Okay, disaster is something which leads to massive destruction, okay, in life, massive destruction or loss of life, property, all those things, but it always needs a response from outside. Okay, WHO says that it warrants or requires, okay, it always warrants or requires response, okay, or assistance. Okay, it always requires a response or assistance from outside the affected area. From outside the affected area. Okay, it always requires response or assistance from outside the affected area. That is very, very important. Okay, if you have to talk about disaster. If everything can be managed them by the people themselves only, that's not a disaster. Okay, and as per Colin Grant, please remember disaster is the occurrence of an unexpected event leading to injury or illness simultaneously to at least how many people? 30 people. So they can ask you, disaster needs to affect 100 people, 1 lakh people. No, only up to 30 people, and they, even if it's affecting 30 people who will require hospital emergency treatment plus help from outside, that is disaster. Please remember there are two terms, hazard and disaster. Okay, what is hazard? If they ask you something which has the potential to become a disaster. Okay, hazard is what? Hazard is something which can lead to a disaster. Okay, something which can lead to a disaster. That is hazard. Like if we don't make the buildings earthquake resistant, if there's even a minor scale earthquake, it will fall and become a disaster. Okay, alright. So hazard is something which has the ability to become a disaster. It's a durghatna, and disaster is a tabahi on a very large scale. Now for your exam purpose, you need to remember and revise the disaster management cycle. Like I've always told you, important cycles in community medicine are disaster management cycle, planning cycle, communication cycle, family cycle, and demographic transition model. Okay, so now we'll talk about disaster management cycle. So in this you can see after the impact there are 3 phases: response, rehab, reconstruction, development, mitigation, prevention, mitigation, preparedness. So prevention, mitigation, preparedness, everybody, this is happening what? This is happening before the impact. Okay, this is happening what? Before impact. This is like we want to prevent. Okay, so you can write before disaster, the steps that you take is mitigation as preparedness. Now post disaster, okay, whenever a disaster strikes, all right, you can divide it into 3 phases. Okay, one second, I'll just write those 3 phases. You need to remember that. Okay, so post disaster we can divide it into how many phases? 3 phases, everybody. What are those 3 phases? Primary phase. Primary phase lasts from 0 to 6 hours, where what we are doing, the first thing, before you do a triage, you need to rescue people. Okay, rescue karna hai, provide first aid, and then we are doing a triage and tagging. Okay, I'll tell you what is triage also once again. In secondary phase, everybody, what is it? This is from 6 to 24 hours. In this, the most important thing is that we are doing transport, okay, referral and transporting them to hospitals. Okay, that is important. Plus, here we are starting to take care of safe water supply and sanitation, because the most common disease reported in post-disaster phase is GI infections. So what do we ensure? We ensure safe water supply, and we ensure what? Safe water supply, everybody, and sanitation. For this, chlorination is one of the best ways. Okay, we try to achieve chlorination. Then tertiary phase mein kya hota hai? This lasts from 1 to 60 days. Now in this, what are we doing? This last thing, okay, rehabilitation, reconstruction. Okay, so we are trying to provide roti kapda makan, which is food, clothing and shelter to everyone. Okay, food, clothing, shelter and we are trying to rebuild everything. What are we trying to do? We are trying to rebuild or reconstruct everything. These are the 3 phases. Now, in these 3 phases, mostly you are asked about triage. Okay, mostly you're asked about triage. So we'll discuss that. All right. Before that, I want to discuss two more things. This was post-disaster phase, primary, secondary, and tertiary phase. And in the definitions which I've written over here, before disaster, okay, there were 2 terms that you need to know. Before disaster, there is something known as mitigation. What is mitigation? Mitigation simply means prevent a hazard from becoming a disaster. Okay, prevent hazard from becoming what? Prevent hazard from becoming disaster. Okay, you have to prevent hazard from becoming disaster. That is mitigation. In this, we mostly use engineering modalities. Okay, we don't want a hazard. We're not talking about health sector here. We're talking about engineering here. So see, this is a PYQ. They ask you like appropriate land use planning or improved building codes. Okay, like making buildings earthquake resistant, flood mitigation works, or protection of vulnerable populations and structures. These are all examples of what? These are all examples of disease mitigation, disaster mitigation. This is very, very important. And then there is one more term over here that I want to discuss with you, which is known as surge capacity. Okay, this is known as what? Surge capacity or preparedness. Surge capacity simply means that how well a country is prepared to do what? How well a country is prepared to face a disaster. Like, are we ready? If suppose an earthquake happens now, is the country ready? So in that case, we look at the 3 M's which I've taught you many times in PSM. We look at manpower, money, material. How much manpower the country has? Paisa kitna hai? Material kitna hai? Expertise kitna hai to manage this thing? So how many manpower how many are trained? Okay. So how many mock drills we have conducted? Okay. If there's a fire right now, how many mock drills we have conducted to manage that? Okay. So that is what is surge capacity. Okay. Also, please remember, when you talk about disaster, guys, there are 2 types. Okay. I'll just write it here only. When we talk about disaster, okay, you can divide it into just a golden point: natural disasters or man-made disasters. Okay, please remember, natural is a lot of type: climatological, hydrological, biological. Okay, so even in India, outbreaks or this epidemics, they are also disasters. Okay, India mein most common natural disaster reported is hydrological disaster. And what is the man-made disaster so far? Worst man-made disaster so far, guys. Worst man-made disaster so far is Bhopal gas tragedy. Please remember this, okay? Bhopal gas tragedy is the worst man-made disaster so far. Next, let's go to again an important topic, which is triage, guys. So triage is done, alright. It is nothing but categorization of the victims. Okay? Categorization of victims. On what? Categorization of victims on the likelihood of survival. More important, obviously, our textbook also mentions on the severity of injury. But if you have to select one out of severity of injury and likelihood of survival, this is done on the likelihood of survival. Now, you've seen a lamp post, okay, that traffic signal basically. So a color hota hai red, okay, then yellow. With this, we can also add a blue, okay. Then there is a green color here, and here you have a lamp post. Okay, so here you have a black color lamp post. Now just remember this, you'll be able to remember. Okay, red. What is red category? If anybody asks you guys, what is red category? So red is high priority. Okay, high priority. This has to be catered within first 6 hours. Okay, here the person may be requiring an immediate resuscitation. Okay, immediate resuscitation or also limb saving surgery. Okay, immediate resuscitation or limb saving surgery. Uske baad aata hai, can you see over here, yellow, or you could also say blue. Okay, now high ke baad here what is the priority? Medium. Okay, the person can wait up to 24 hours. Surgery is needed, but can wait up to 24 hours. Okay. Then comes your green. So green is which priority? Low priority. Why? Because they are what? Ambulatory. Ambulatory means they are moving about. Okay, so that is okay. And last but not the least, we have black color. Okay, black is what? Least priority. Okay, least priority. Why? Because they are dead. Okay, they are either dead or moribund. Moribund matlab, moribund means they are likely to die. Okay, they are likely to die. Either they are dead or they are moribund. They are likely to die. Now, should as doctors, we should let a person die. Now, in case of disaster, we have to, because we might have scarcity of resources. So, any person, okay, who has more chance of his life being saved, we will cater to them first. Okay? So, that is what is triage. Please remember, according to the books, our standard books, it is high, medium, low and least priority. Okay, here one more thing I want to tell you. What are the different types of triage? Okay, in high yield points I'll write it for you. So types of triage, ek hota hai reverse triage. Okay, and where is this reverse triage done? This is done in case of military settings. That means when the country is at war, okay, when the soldiers are fighting, any soldier who suffers from a minor injury like a cut or crack, we are going to first cater to them and send them back to the fields to fight. So in reverse triage, we are giving green color priority. Okay, green color is given priority. And there is also one more thing, START. If you remember this, what is START? So this is nothing but simple triage and rapid treatment. Okay, so where is this adopted? So what happens in difficult to reach? Okay, where is this happening? In difficult to reach. Okay, difficult to reach areas. All right, if you have inaccessible areas, difficult to reach areas or inaccessible areas. If a disaster strikes, even a lay person can start providing triage. This could mean a health worker, okay, this could mean a health worker, school teacher, village panchayat, okay, village panchayat, provided they are not hurt themselves, okay. So even a simple, like difficult to reach areas mein, even a lay person can start providing triage, okay. Alright. Another thing, most common disease reported in post-disaster phase is acute gastroenteritis, typhoid and cholera. Most common vitamin deficiency, vitamin A. Now when you talk about vaccination, please remember vaccination protocol hota hai that all vaccines are contraindicated, okay, in post-disaster era except measles. Here we are talking to the victims. Okay, so cholera, typhoid, tetanus, all of it is contraindicated on a mass level. We will not start giving tetanus to everybody. You can assess individually and see if tetanus is required or not, but you will not give it to everyone. Okay, so in post-disaster, okay, please remember post-disaster phase, okay, if you talk about victims, remember all vaccines are contraindicated except which one? All vaccines are contraindicated except which one, guys? Except measles. Okay, but for doctors or healthcare professionals, okay, who are working in what? Who are working in disaster prone areas, to them all vaccines given, cholera, typhoid, tetanus, this will be given except measles. Okay, so in vaccination to the victims in post-disaster phase, all vaccines contraindicated except measles. To the health professional, all vaccines given, even hepatitis you can give, all right, except you don't need to give measles. All right, and to the victims, if measles is being given, please remember victims ko, if in the post-disaster phase measles vaccine given, it should be given within what? 3 days of exposure. Okay, you should give it within 3 days of exposure. And like over here, most crucial preliminary step is chlorination of water supply and say water bodies in area. Remember, most important step post disaster, I'll write over here. Okay, most important step. Okay, post disaster, guys, what is the most important step post disaster? It is ensure safe water supply and sanitation. Okay, ensure what? Safe water supply and sanitation. And one of the best ways to achieve it is by the technique of chlorination. Okay? Alright. Moving ahead, look at this disaster management in India. So there was a, what all are we doing to manage disasters? There was a Disaster Management Act which came into force in 2005. Alright. And according to this, we set up the National Disaster Management Authority at national level and State Disaster Management Authority at state level. Now, World Disaster Reduction Day, PYQ, second Wednesday of October. Nodal Ministry for Disaster Response, overall coordination lies with Ministry of Home Affairs. What is the other thing which is under Ministry of Home Affairs, if you remember? Census. Chairperson is the Prime Minister. National Disaster Management Authority का काम क्या है? Lead agency responsible for preparation of disaster management plans and also execution of disaster management functions. So under National Disaster Management Authority, we are preparing what? Disaster management plans. There is a National Institute of Disaster Management also responsible for training, research and all that. Okay, in Delhi, state governments are also responsible for execution for relief work. Okay, so most important question will come. What is the ministry, guys? So what is the ministry? Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, and nodal center for disaster management is, please remember, district. Okay, nodal center for disaster management is district. All these are important points. Okay, so that was it about disaster, right from the disaster management cycle to triage, to various phases, to vaccination protocol. They are important. Oh, one more thing over here I want to tell you guys. See, all the diseases like gastrointestinal diseases are commonly reported. ARIs are commonly reported. Vitamin deficiencies are reported. Please remember, one zoonotic disease which can be reported is leptospirosis. I'll just put it here for you. Okay, leptospirosis. You can very well see leptospirosis after disaster. Rain rice fields, it's associated with rain, rice fields and rats. Okay, so if there's severe rains and all that, it leads to a disaster. Leptospirosis is seen. Only one point over here, remember, do vector-borne diseases appear immediately after disaster? No. Okay, so I am just writing this point over here. If somebody asks you vector-borne diseases take time to develop post-disaster. Okay, take time to do what? Take time to develop post-disaster. Okay, vector-borne diseases take time to develop post-disaster. Okay, now let us quickly have a look at BMW, biomedical waste. Any waste which is generated during diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings or animals or in research activities, that is the definition. This is under which ministry? Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This is the PYQ. This is responsible for making policies, providing financial assistance, operational research, notify standards or operating parameters. Okay, so this is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay, now key point, is CPCB responsible for anything? Yes, this is important. Tumne CPCB, where had we studied? Air Quality Index is also given by CPCB. It is also preparing guidelines on biomedical waste management, and guys, what does it do? It submits it to whom? It submits it to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Please remember, biomedical waste is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, but the guidelines have been prepared by CPCB. This is just healthcare waste generation that you can see. General healthcare waste generation is 80%, but infectious waste is almost 15 to 20%. Okay, pathological infectious waste, sharp waste 1%, chemical pharmacological waste 3%. Okay, radioactive, cytotoxic, pressurized containers, all these is less than 1% also. These are logos, guys. This is BMW, biomedical waste. This is radiation hazard, of course. And if you look at this, this is recycling. Ka symbol. What are the four categories now? Color bags now. Yellow, all infectious waste ko may or may not be pre-treated, and the mode of dispersal is incineration. Red, it is RPT. All rubber plastic tubes. Okay, no pre-treatment required. They are recycled or reused. Okay, rubber plastic tubes reused. Plastics should be reused. Blue, glass and metallic implants, guys, and white, which is again recycled or reused, and white may sharps, recycled or reused after shredding. That's the main mode of disposal also that we have mentioned. Now see, yellow may non-chlorinated plastic bags is all human anatomical waste, animal anatomical waste, soiled waste. When I talk about soiled waste, it's like soiled cotton swabs, okay, soiled cotton swabs, or you can say gauze piece, okay, gauze piece, or bandages, all those things, or a soiled tissue paper, okay, soiled tissue paper, all right, all of this is going into yellow color bag. Discarded or expired medicines, they go into yellow color bag. Microbiology, biotechnology, other clinical lab waste, chemical liquid waste, okay, beddings and linens, everything goes into into this. Anatomical waste, we've taken out a histopathology specimen, okay, or if it's a fetus or placenta, all of this go into yellow bag. So see, type of waste: placenta, post-operative body parts, dressings, pathological waste, cotton waste, dressing materials, bedding, anything which is contaminated with any body fluid, okay, body fluid contaminated, paper and cloth, face mask, okay. If you talk about PP, everybody please remember face mask, okay, and shoe cover, head cover, linen gowns, disposable linen gowns, okay, disposable linen gowns, they all go in yellow bag. All right, this is important. All right, but gloves go in red bag. And blood bag, guys, anything which has been contaminated, okay, like blood bag, so blood bag goes into yellow bag. Okay, but if I say urine bag, now euro bag has the letter R in it, that is going into red bag, but blood bag is going into yellow bag. Now treatment and disposal: incineration is done where the temperature is more than 1200 degrees C, or plasma pyrolysis if that is not available, now, or deep burial. Now suppose there's a PHC, it might not have an incinerator, or it has no access to a biomedical treatment facility within 75 kilometers, okay, no access to common biomedical waste treatment facility, okay, up to 75 kilometers. There is no access to this. Then we can go for deep burial, like this is being done in certain PHCs and all. Red bag, we all know contaminated waste, recyclables, but please remember RPT, rubber, okay, this is rubber, plastics as well as tubes, guys. So you can see a lot of images over here. Foley's catheter ho gaya, Ryle's tube ho gaya, okay, Foley's catheter, I've made a list towards the end. Foley's catheter, Ryle's tube, IV drip sets, syringes without needles, okay, gloves, very important, gloves, soiled or unsoiled, okay, this is going to go into red color bag, okay, please don't say gloves go into yellow, no. And also vacutainers if they are empty, okay, vacutainers in red, but please remember, if you get a question which has been where the vacutainer is contaminated with blood, so vacutainers with blood in it, guys, where is this going to go, everybody? Yellow. See, syringe without needle, or if you see fixed needle syringes with the needle cut, IV set, any tube, any this thing, catheters, okay, very important, gloves, urine bag, dialysis kit, IV bottles, anything which is a tube, okay, vacutainers with needle cut, vacutainers without blood, ELISA plate and vials not containing blood samples, they go into red bag, okay. Treatment, we all know, you can autoclave, microwave, hydroclave, they have to be reused, followed by shredding or mutilation, and the waste is then sent to registered recyclers for energy recovery and road making. We have to reuse them. White bag mein all the sharps goes, okay, this is actually a white container, needles, syringes with fixed needle, blades, scalpels, cannula, insulin pen, syringes, whatever. Treatment is puncture proof, leak proof, tamper proof containers. You can autoclave or do a dry heat sterilization followed by shredding or mutilation, or sent for final disposal to iron foundries or sanitary landfill also sometimes. Blue, we all know, glasswares or metallic implants. Broken glass ko never put in white, okay, broken glass, ampules, lab slides, okay, if they give you vaccine vials, please remember vaccine vials, nothing is written will go into blue, okay, but if they write some live vaccine vials, if any vaccine vial has vaccine left in it, then it becomes a biotechnology waste, then it will go into yellow, otherwise not, okay. Pacemakers are metallic body implants, okay, artificial pacemakers, they go into blue color bag. Cardboard boxes with blue colored marking, they are put into, you can disinfect them, or autoclave or microwave, and then sent for recycling. So this is the overall gist, guys. See, fetus, organ, tissue, soil, cotton, gauze, dressings, bandage, cast, plasters, IUDs. Many of you ask because IUDs get contaminated with body fluid. Expired, discarded medicine, cytotoxic, body secretions, sputum, pus, feces, X-ray developer fluid. I'm not saying X-ray. Okay? X-ray developer fluid, disinfectant, linen, beddings, mattress, gowns, culture plates. Okay, blood bags, very important. Blood transfusion sets, live vaccine vials. Okay, but if nothing is written, then vaccine vial goes into blue. Blood products, mask, shoe cover. All of this is going in yellow. Recyclable plastics, tubes, vacuum without blood, syringes without needles, Euro bags, catheters, dry tubes, IV drip sheaths, face shield goggles, red. Sharps and other metals, white. And orthopedic glasswares in this, they go into blue. Now, of course, they can ask you what is incineration, guys. It is a high temperature dry oxidation process. This is a PYQ, okay. It reduces the waste volume as well as weight of waste. No pre-treatment is required. Now, incineration is not suitable for pressurized gas containers, alright. Reactive chemicals, large amounts and cytotoxic drugs. See, minimum mein theek hai, but very large amount of cytotoxic drugs, we can't do that also. Silver salts, then it will all be sent back to the manufacturer. Silver salts, photographic, radiographic waste with high mercury, broken thermometer, okay, sealed ampoules containing heavy metals. Now, if there is broken thermometer here, how will you collect the mercury? I've taught you. You will first switch off all the fans, you will take out all the metallic things from your body, wear PPE, use 2 cardboard boxes or x-ray this thing, collect mercury, okay, collect mercury, please wear PPE, that is very important. And then we have to collect mercury and fill in tube half filled with water, okay, half filled with water. You have to fill it in a tube half filled with water and send back, okay, send back. This we are talking about mercury, okay, send back to whom? Send back to manufacturer. And how will you clean or wipe the floor? Please don't use sodium hypochlorite, okay. The floor will be cleaned with sodium thiosulfate, okay, sodium thiosulfate. Alright, that is how you manage mercury spills. But if it is a body fluid spill, okay, if it is body fluid spill, what is it that we are using? Sodium hypochlorite. It ranges from 1% to 10% also in case of massive spills. Okay, so be very careful. Have they given mercury or if have they given any body fluid? This is an incinerator, okay, dual chamber, alright. Mostly the temperature works at this one, okay. This is what? Dual chamber incinerator. This is in fashion these days. Fashion matlab this is being used. Autoclave, you could be asked which is the one we are using? Not less than 121 degrees C temperature, 15 pounds per square inch for 60 minutes. This is the autoclave which can definitely come in your exams. Alright, inertization, just remember it is done for mostly pharmaceutical work. Okay, mixing waste with cement and other substance before disposal, it is done for pharmaceutical work. Screw feed technique is something where we use a method known as auger. Okay, alright, so mostly they ask you incineration, plasma pyrolysis, where do you do autoclave, and in which conditions are we doing deep burial? Deep burial is done for yellow category waste whenever there is no access to any common biomedical treatment facility up to 75 kilometers or we don't have it like in a PHC. Okay? Coming to last thing, what is genetics? We all know. In that you have to study about eugenics and euthenics. So eugenics means simply that we want to improve genetic race, okay? We want to improve genes, alright, by what? Genetic manipulation, okay? How? By genetic manipulation, that is eugenics, okay? Found by Sir Francis Galton. He advocated the improvement of hereditary traits through various form of interventions, but which one over here, everybody? Which one over here? Genetic manipulation, alright? So there could be two things, negative eugenics or positive. Negative means that you lower fertility. Don't let the genetically disadvantaged people mate, okay? So that is done by abortion, sterilization or this thing. Lower the fertility among the genetically disadvantaged. That is negative. Positive eugenics means encourage reproduction among genetically advantaged, okay? So here it is done through in vitro fertilization, targeted transplants, gene cloning, okay? That is very important. Euthenics is you improve the hereditary race via environmental manipulation. Eugenics is genetic manipulation. Euthenics is environmental manipulation. By both we are trying to improve the hereditary race, okay, genetics. Hardy-Weinberg law has come once, so we need to know what it is. It states that the genotype frequencies in a population will remain constant or are in equilibrium from generation to generation unless specific disturbing influences are introduced, okay. Like genetic, there's no variation, okay. The genotypes will always remain constant from generation to generation unless, of course, some disturbing influences are introduced, okay, like the population is migrating or something. All right, so that is very important. This assumes that the human population is statistic. This is that image that has come, q square plus 2pq plus p square. This simply means that genetic, when you talk about this, genotype frequencies remain constant generation after generation. This is the Hardy-Weinberg principle, which is equal to 1. This was asked once, okay. They can give you equal to 0, something else. So this is it. Now Hardy-Weinberg will fall. Genetic frequencies will not remain same from generation to generation. If they are smaller populations, dynamic populations, okay, it remains same for larger population. If they are migrating, there is non-random mating, assortative mating, mutations, all those things, then it will not remain the same, okay. Last thing, there is two things, guys, genetic counseling, prospective and retrospective. In India, what do you think we are having? Mostly people are going for retrospective genetic counseling. Prospective means you identify heterozygous individuals for any particular defect and explain to them if the risk of having affected children if they marry another heterozygote, like thalassemia. If two heterozygotes marry for that, what is going to be the consequences? You explain. That is prospective. But retrospective is that you seek genetic advice after hereditary disorder has already occurred in the family. And this is more common, okay. Retrospective genetic counseling is more common. A child is born with congenital anomalies, then people are seeking the advice, okay. All right, let's see one MCQ, not true about disaster control. Gastroenteritis is the most commonly reported disease. Yes, in post-disaster phase. Vector-borne disease, I told you, will not immediately appear. Yes, displacement of domestic and wild animals increases the risk of transmission. Of course, zoonotic disease risk increases. WHO recommends typhoid and cholera vaccine in routine use in endemic area. No, all vaccines are contraindicated except which one? Measles. But please remember, if you have, very, very important, if you have health professionals, then we can give them all the vaccines except measles. Okay? Which color bag for the disposal of 95 mask, head cover, head cap, linen gown, shoe cover? This is, of course, yellow. And face shields, hazmat suits, plastic overall, nitrile gloves, all this, red. Okay, please remember this. Gloves go into red. Overall PPE is going into yellow bag if nothing is mentioned. That's it. So this was a short class where we have revised occupational health, disaster, genetics, biomedical waste. All of them are important for your last minute revision. Thank you so much. So hello dear students, welcome back to this rapid revision video on family planning and contraceptives. Let us give it a detailed, an overview of this entire topic, okay? Now we all know there are certain definitions which definitely are asked in your exams, okay? Like nowadays they definitely ask you what do you understand by eligible couples, okay? So who are eligible couples? Currently married couple, okay, where the wife is in the reproductive age group. Now earlier this term was target couple, okay? In target couple we were using the term for reproductive age only, but those women who've had 2 or more than 2 children. Then it was realized that even a newly married couple is in need of family planning. At the same time, the one who has 1 child or 2 child. Okay. So currently, what is the definition of eligible couple? Currently married couple, wherein the wife is in the reproductive age group. Please remember, the word target couple, okay? The word target couple is no longer used, okay? Alright, currently this is a PYQ that there are 150 to 180 eligible couples per 1,000 population in India. And one more thing, that eligible couple register everybody. Where is it maintained? The eligible couple register is maintained at the sub-center. Okay, and whose responsibility it is to maintain the eligible couple register? It is with the ANM, okay, or multi-purpose worker female. Okay? So that's the first thing. Alright. Now there is certain term known as couple protection rate. What is couple protection rate? It is nothing but number of couples, okay, or reproductive age couples, okay, number of reproductive age couples who are protected, alright, by an approved family planning method, okay, by an approved which method? By an approved family planning method. Yeah. So what is couple protection rate? The number of couples, okay, currently in reproductive age group who are protected by an approved family planning method. Okay, this is very, very important. And we all know that for a country's population to stabilize, okay, for a country's population to stabilize, all right, to stabilize, okay, we have read in fertility indicators also that TFR should be equal to 2.1. When will this be? When net reproduction rate is equal to 1. And when is this going to be? When couple protection rate is more than 60%. And as of now, you know that the number of couples who are protected by any approved method of family planning, the current couple protection rate, everybody, for India, okay, what is the current couple protection rate? Or you could also say this is an indicator of, like we have done in the videos, contraceptive prevalence rate, okay. We can also say that this is an indicator of what? Contraceptive prevalence rate, okay. So currently in India it is 66.7%. That doesn't mean the population has stabilized, because it has to be sustained over the years, okay. So remember this thing. Then another thing for revision from Pearl Index comes, which is very, very yet important yet again, guys, is Pearl Index is used to express what? The failure rate of contraceptives, okay, the failure rate of contraceptives. So in your exams, you will be asked about the definition of Pearl Index, okay. So what is the definition of Pearl Index? It is nothing but number of accidental pregnancies, okay, number of accidental pregnancies divided by the total months of exposure, okay, total months of exposure multiplied by 1200. Now remember one thing, it is total months of exposure, okay. And what is 1200? Because Pearl Index is always expressed in terms of HWY, which is per 100 woman years, okay. And we know in 1 year we have 12 months. So in 100 years, how many months are going to be? In 100 years, there is going to be 1200 months, okay. So this is the formula for Pearl Index which comes in your exams, okay. So number of accidental pregnancies divided by the total months of exposure into 1200, okay. Now you could also be asked some common Pearl Index, okay, like male condoms 2 to 14 per 100 woman year, female condoms 5 to 21 per 100 woman year. Sterilization, you know, is the most cost effective. Out of that also, please remember, vasectomy is the most cost effective, right? Vasectomy is the most cost effective. This is 0.1 per 100 woman year. Vaginal sponge can definitely be asked because it's very commonly asked, vaginal sponges today. Intrauterine devices, see, roughly 1 to 5, because there are different forms, first generation, second generation, third generation, so on and so forth. But please remember the one which is very, very commonly asked, copper T380A, okay, which is most commonly used, has the shelf life of 10 years. Iska failure rate is only 0.3 to 0.5 per 100 woman years, okay. This can definitely come in your exams. And Mirena, if you talk about, which is LNG 20, levonorgestrel 20, okay, which is hormonal containing IUD. Iska is only 0.1 to 0.2 per 100 women years. Out of all the contraceptives, intrauterine devices, okay, Mirena has the least failure rate. OCPs again can vary somewhere from 0.1 to 2 also, okay. Alright, now when we discuss the different types of contraceptives, you must know that contraceptives could be of two types, right? Temporary methods, alright, temporary methods and permanent methods. In temporary methods, you could have barrier methods, you could have intrauterine devices, you could have hormonal methods. Most important. Permanent में we are basically talking about sterilization. In this we talk about vasectomy, guys, and we also talk about tubectomy, okay. So now let us have an overview. You all know the first one. What is this image? This has just one ring. This is nothing but an image of a male condom, okay. And male condom is which type of contraceptive, guys? It is a barrier contraceptive, okay. So when I talk about barrier, okay, it doesn't doesn't let the sperm mate with the ova. ठीक है, most widely used by whales worldwide. And what is the name, the brand under which it is used? Nirod. ठीक है, so this is the brand under which it is being promoted by the name of Nirod. It is freely available. Okay, it is freely available by what? It is freely available by National Family Welfare Program. Okay, up to the level of sub-centers. Okay, up to the level of sub-center. Maybe they can ask you Nirod means what? Prevention. Now, what are the advantages of it? It is safe, easy to use, inexpensive, no side effects observed, as with pill and IUD, because they are all hormonal, okay, easily disposable. Plus, it is offering protection against HIV, STD, and RTS. Disadvantage may be that it can interfere with sexual sensation, which can be troublesome for some people, may slip off or tear during coitus due to incorrect use. Most common cause of failure of a male condom, okay, most common cause of failure. If anybody asks you what is the most common cause of failure of male condom, please remember the most common cause of failure of male condoms is incorrect use. Okay, that is disadvantage. Now, male condoms are also provided under social marketing scheme to promote behavioral change, guys. It is also being provided under that, all right, which is rupees 1 for a pack of condoms. Okay, so that is it. Male condoms should never be reused. Failure rate can range from 2 to 5 to 14 per 100 women years. Most common cause of failure, I've told you, is incorrect use. And number of condoms needed for effective protection in a year is 72. But the question which comes mostly, okay, from male condom aata hai ya female condom aata hai, the question comes from female condom. Now, how can I identify that this is a female condom? It has 2 rings. Can you see a female condom presents with 2 rings? Okay, 2 rings. Now, what happens, very, very important, please remember, female condom is not being provided under our National Family Welfare Program because it needs some expertise to use, plus it has high failure rate. Then, is it provided freely under some other program? Yes, National AIDS Control Program, particularly for commercial sex workers. Okay? Before that, I just wanted to tell you one more thing, that yes, female condom was discovered by a person known as MD Hessel. Okay, and this is available under the name of Femidom. Okay, it was discovered by a person known as MD Hessel. Okay, now look at this. Of course, you all know that this is a barrier method. Okay, advantage. It prevents the spread of sexually transmitted infections. Very, very important. Okay, and please remember, when a female condom is used, it's going to cover more area of the vagina. Okay, so it offers more protection. All right, it offers more protection from HIV, STDs, okay, than male condom. Remember this one word also, okay? It offers more protection from HIV, STDs than male condoms. Controlled by women as it does not require male partner stimulation, no hormonal side effects. Now, male condoms is made up of latex. This can be made up of female condoms can be made up of latex. It can also be made up of polyurethane. So any woman who has allergic to latex, okay, with latex insensitivities can use the other type. It's pre-lubricated and can be used with oil and water-based lubricants. Erection not necessary to keep the condom in place. This is very important, can be reused. Male condoms cannot be reused. But the disadvantage is its high cost, its acceptability by women, should be motivated to use, okay, because it's not easy to insert a female condom. It's noticeable during sex as it covers the skin around the external genitalia. Like I said, needs practice to insert and use. Okay, so motivation is required. Can break or leak. About 3 times more expensive, plus it has high failure rate. Then why did we make it? Because at least it can be used by commercial sex workers for their own protection. Okay? So it's not recommended under National Family Welfare Program because it requires a lot of expertise to use. That's one thing. And of course, it has a high failure rate. Okay. But still it is recommended freely under the National AIDS Control Program. Okay? For the benefit of whom? CSW, commercial sex workers. Something is better than nothing. Male and female condoms, remember one very important point, that Never use male and female condom together. Okay, they cannot be used. Okay, and since it's pre-lubricated, you don't need actually a spermicide. Okay, male condoms can be used with a spermicide. Female condoms are pre-lubricated with silicone, so spermicide is also not required. Failure rate, you can see it's such high. Plus, it's reusable. Okay, so you could get a question like these that female condom is being provided under which program? So it is National AIDS Control Program, not under National Family Welfare Program. All right, everybody, this is very, 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 very important. Okay, look at this. All are true about female condom. Should be used with a male condom? Never. Never use a male and female condom together. Invented by MD Hessel, offers protection against STD, HIV, reusable. Okay, moving forward, what do you think this is? This is again a barrier method. A question which is very commonly asked. Now, it is something which is inserted in the vagina and then pushed gently to be placed over the cervix. Plus, it is a dome-like structure. Okay, it doesn't have a band. So, this is nothing but diaphragm. Okay, so look at this. This is what is a diaphragm. Again, this is what? This is a barrier method. But please remember, this again is not being provided freely under our National Family Welfare Program. No. Alright, this is not recommended. It slightly has issues which we will see right now. Okay, it is also known as Dutch cap. It's barrier method, shallow cup of 5 to 10 centimeter made of synthetic rubber or plastic. See, male condoms, latex, female condoms, polyurethane, latex, diaphragm, rubber or plastic. Now, technique of use, if you look at the image which was earlier shown to you, so what is done, everybody, is that it is inserted in vagina. Okay, it is inserted into the vagina, and then what happens? And then it is pushed gently. Okay, pushed gently to be placed over what? To be placed over the cervix. Okay, so now can you see this requires expertise. Okay, somebody has to be taught this. Plus, it requires a lot of privacy. Okay, advantages, because it's barrier, there are no hormonal side effects in this. Okay, disadvantage, see, motivation and practice is needed on the part of the woman to insert a diaphragm and remove the diaphragm. Privacy for practice, washing as well as storing the diaphragm. If left, now very, very important, one more point, it has to be inserted 6 hours prior to sexual intercourse. Okay, prior to sexual intercourse, it has to be inserted, and then it has to be left, and then left up to 6 hours post ejaculation. And now what happens? A woman forgets to take it out. Okay, she doesn't take it out after 10 hours, 12 hours, and then she remembers at the end. Okay, like she forgets, or she does not take it out by 24 hours also. Then if left in the vagina beyond 24 hours, it will lead to toxic shock syndrome. So you can get a question, a woman was using a contraception and she reportedly died. So what could be the cause? So this is it. Also, one more thing, it is not protecting from STDs and HIVs. Can it be reused? Yes. It must be ensured that diaphragm is of correct size, fits properly and is not damaged. Failure rate is high, 6 to 12. It is not recommended under our National Family Welfare Program because again, failure rate is high. Technique to use requires a lot of motivation. If left behind, it can lead to toxic shock syndrome. Okay? Variation of diaphragm includes cervical cap, vault cap, vimule cap. If you see these names, it's referring to the same thing. Cervical cap, vault cap, vimule cap. Okay, but please remember, diaphragm also does not protect from STD or HIV. Similar to diaphragm, this is a very famous PYQ. Is something this contraceptive. What is this? Now, like I said, diaphragm is a cap. Okay, it doesn't have any V-shaped band or something. This has a V-shaped band. Okay, this is what? Vaginal sponge. Alright, this is vaginal sponge. You can see it has a V-shaped band. Other than this, guys, this is available under the brand name of Today. Please remember, this is also a PYQ. This image has come Today, plus this image has also come vaginal sponge. Now, this is available under the brand name of Today, and it has to be used with a spermicide, non-oxynol 9. Very, very important. Okay. Please remember, vaginal sponge may we add a spermicide, which has been asked many times. What is it? Non-oxynol 9. Okay, so this contraceptive mein you can see here it's written non-oxynol 9. So if you see the word today, vaginal sponge, it's the same thing. They are what? They are barrier method of contraception. Now also please remember that whenever we have to use this, okay, whenever this has to be used, its action is similar to that of diaphragm. Okay, so technique of insertion, it must be run under water till thoroughly wet before insertion. Then it is inserted into vagina. Okay, it is inserted into vagina. Then it is gently pushed. Okay, gently what? Gently it is pushed to be placed over the cervix. Okay, to be placed over the cervix. It has to be inserted prior to sexual intercourse. Same thing what we did for vaginal diaphragm. Okay, this is what it is inserted prior to sexual intercourse, okay, and then it has to be left, okay, left 6 hours post ejaculation, okay, it has to be left for 6 hours post ejaculation. And if suppose it is forgotten to take it out by 24 hours, okay, by 24 hours, if not taken out, what is it going to lead to? If not taken out, it will lead to toxic shock syndrome. Okay, plus it has higher failure rate than diaphragm. Okay, higher failure rate than diaphragm. Remember this. And is it being promoted under National Family Welfare Program? No, it is not recommended. Okay, it is not recommended under our National Family Welfare Program. Okay, so that's about vaginal sponge, available under the name of today, has a wee band-like thing, has to be used with the spermicide non-oxynol 9, inserted prior to sexual intercourse, leave it up to their 6 hours post ejaculation, and then if forgotten to taken out beyond 24 hours, it leads to toxic shock syndrome. Also has a high failure rate, but it could just like a diaphragm be reused as well. Got it? Okay, so these were some of the barrier methods which are very, very important. Now, when I come to intrauterine device, you need to know the images. There's first generation, second generation, third generation. Now, if you look at the first generation one, these are non-medicated, inert. They have very high failure rates. Okay, so they are not used nowadays. You don't have to worry about them. Okay, this one can, maybe if your examiner is an old examiner, can give you some repeated question from here. This is what? This is a Lippes loop, and this circle, ye kya hai? This is a Grafenberg ring, everybody. Okay, then you have second generation IUDs. So when you talk about second generation, what is the advantage? They contain copper. Now obviously copper might be having some role to play. Okay, so what is that role? It is very, very important that you must know. Okay, so now here you can see, whenever you will see brown color wire, that means it is a copper containing device. This one is copper T380A. This one is copper T380AG. AG means it has a silver core wound around it. Okay, isko also comes under the name of Nova T. And this one, everybody, U-shaped, is multi-load. You can get the images. And this is copper T375. Can you see copper T375? Now, over here, the question that comes out in your exam, okay, is what is this 380? So 380 is nothing but it refers to 380 millimeter square of copper wire. Okay, 380 millimeter square of copper wire, which is wound on this horizontal as well as on this vertical stem. Okay, that is what is 380A. Alright, and please remember, you can see over here that the copper wire is present on the horizontal stem as well as vertical stem. Ab ye next image dekho, this is what? Nova T. Okay, copper T 380 AG. Now silver wale mein it's only wound around this vertical stem. You know what silver does? It increases the shelf life of copper. Okay, does not let it destabilize. And this is multi-load. Okay, U-shaped. Okay. Copper T has a 380A has a shelf life of 10 years. Okay, Nova T 5 years, multi-load also 5 years. Nova T may extend up to 7 years, but technically 5 years may it should be rechanged. A question can come that what is the advantage of copper? Why did we add copper? What was needed? So it enhances foreign body reactions. Okay, cellular Then it has cellular response in endometrium, affects enzymes in uterus. So it's basically affecting the enzyme and all those things. Affects the cervical mucus, thus affecting sperm motility, capacitation and survival. Okay? It basically makes the environment hostile. Okay? So it alters cervical mucus, affecting sperm motility, capacitation and survival. Advantages क्या है? Lower expulsion rate, lower incidence of side effects like bleeding and pain, lower failure rate, easier to fit. Most important thing, okay, that it could be used. It's the best emergency contraception. Okay, please remember, it's the best emergency contraception. Why? Because it can be used up to how many days? It's the best emergency contraception because it can be used up to 3 to 5 days. Technically up to 5 days. Okay, up to 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse. Okay, it can be used up to 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse. Very, very important. Now, third generation IUD, we have learned before also. What is the advancement now? They contain hormones. In this, you just have to study. One is LNG20, okay, or that is known as Mirena. And what is the next one? The next one is progestasert. Okay, let us look at the image. Okay, before that, why hormones now? So what is the mechanism of action? They increase the viscosity. They are making the environment hostile. So cervical mucus ko, viscosity ko badhate, prevents sperm from entering this thing and makes endometrium unfavorable. Just like this thing, due to high progesterone and low estrogen. Now, if you look at this, does it have a brown color copper wire around it? No. So there is no brown color wire around it, wrapped around it. So this is Mirena. Mirena altogether contains 52 mg of levonorgestrel. It releases 20 microgram of levonorgestrel per day. That is why it is LNG20. Shelf life again is 5 years. It can extend up to 7 years also, but mostly it should be changed over a period of 5 years. Okay? And this is, you can see, curved. Okay, plus it releases LNG20, 20 microgram of levonorgestrel per day. But if you see, completely white, okay, something which is like this, completely white. There is no brown color copper wire around here. It's completely white. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Progestasert. ठीक है? It is a commonly used IUD which contains 38 milligram of progesterone. This was containing 52 milligrams, 38 milligram. Okay, and it releases 65 microgram of hormone per day. Very, very important. Okay, it's releasing how many microgram of hormone per day? 65. But the important thing is that iska shelf life is only 1 year. Please remember, out of all the intrauterine devices, Mirena has the least failure rate, guys. ठीक है? सबसे कम failure rate. Okay? Alright. So, copper T has a shelf life of 10 years. This has come many, many times. Okay. Intrauterine device expulsion rate, you can see lowest with progestasert, that white color straight releasing 65 microgram progesterone per day. Highest is noted with Lippes loop. IUD removal rate is again progestasert, but highest is levonorgestrel. Although it has the least failure rate, guys, but it has the highest removal rate. Pregnancy rate, see, lowest with levonorgestrel. Here, levonorgestrel matlab LNG20. LNG20. Although the pregnancy rate is the least, but highest is the removal rate. Now, side effects mein you are technically asked, what is the most common side effect? What is the most common side effect of IUD insertion, everybody? So this question definitely comes. Most common side effect of IUD insertion, everybody, is bleeding. Okay, that is the most common side effect. But again, it is kind of physiological bleeding which improves, okay, which improves over a period of 2 to 3 months. Therefore, all we need to do is, guys, we need to reassure the woman. Okay, reassure the woman, and if required, put her on iron tablets. Okay, then what is the second most common side effect? The second most common side effect, everybody, is pain. Okay? Pain. But please remember, pain is the most common cause of removal. Okay? Pain is what? The most common cause of removal of IUD. Pain is the most common cause of removal of IUDs. Another thing, contraindication of IUD, very, very important for your last minute revision, absolute and relatives. So you can just make a 2x2 table and try to understand this, okay? Suspected pregnancy absolute में है, relative में anemia. Why anemia? Because you know most common cause of this thing is the most common side effect of IUD insertion is bleeding, right? So if a woman is anemic or is a case of menorrhagia, excess of bleeding during periods, okay, you need to insert this carefully. All right, okay. PID, current PID is absolute, guys. Okay, anyone who has multiple sexual partners, never advise them for a IUD. It can precipitate PID. Relative history of PID since last pregnancy. Okay, vaginal bleeding of unknown undiagnosed etiology is absolute. So this side it's vaginal bleeding, this side it's cervical discharge, purulent cervical discharge. Just compare. Okay, इधर है cancer of cervix, uterus, adenoma and other pelvic tumors. Okay, what is it? Cancer of cervix, uterus, adenoma and other pelvic tumor. Here what do you have? Distortions of the uterine cavity due to malformations and fibroids. Now many of you ask me, ma'am, previous ectopic pregnancy is absolute or relative? According to our textbook of PARC, previous ectopic pregnancy is always and always an absolute contraindication of IUD insertion. Okay, so this is very, very important. Contraindication, side effects. Now timing of insertion of IUD is again important. Okay, so when you have to talk about timing of insertion, the best time, the ideal time, the best time to insert an IUD is during menses or within 5 to 10 days of beginning of menstrual cycle. Okay, either you insert it during menses or you insert it within 5 to 10 days of beginning of menstrual cycle. But do you think a woman is going to come during that period? No. It's not a very receptive time because she might not feel very comfortable. Okay, so what is the most receptive time when she will say that, okay, you please put an IUD is postpartum. Now here she is so tired of giving births or this thing that she might agree and she might say that please put an IUD. So postpartum, maybe you have immediate postpartum, which is as soon as the placenta comes out. So post-placental. Late postpartum is most preferred up to 48 hours of delivery. Immediate postpartum is as soon as the placenta is out. Okay. And what is late postpartum? Remember, late postpartum is up to 48 hours post-delivery. Okay, which is very, very important. It could be inserted up to 1 week of delivery also. Ideally, before discharge, laga do if you want to do, put an IUD. That is late postpartum. Okay? Post-puerperal kya hota hai? Up to 42 days post-delivery. Basically 6 weeks. Interval within 6 months of delivery. Post-coital, best emergency contraception up to 5 days. Post-abortion, you can put it after first trimester abortion, guys, but it's definitely not recommended after second trimester abortion. We cannot put it. Okay? So best time is during menses or within 5 to 10 days of beginning of menstrual cycle. When you talk about postpartum, everybody please remember, after placenta is immediate and late postpartum is up to 48 hours of delivery. Okay? That's the time she's more receptive. Alright, next let us quickly look at the hormonal contraceptives which could be asked in your exam. So look at this. This is depot formulation. What is written over here? Depo-Provera contraceptive injection. So basically this is what? Injectable DMPA. Okay, injectable DMPA. Depot medroxyprogesterone acetate. It contains only progesterone. And this is the important question kya hai iske sath, that it is now available. Okay, it is now available under the brand name of, or it is now available under the name of Antara. Okay, so this is basically a newer contraceptive. Okay, this is basically what? This is basically a newer contraceptive, guys, which is now available freely. Okay, now available where? It is now available freely. Up to which level? Up to the level of subcenter. These are the newer contraceptives introduced under the National Family Welfare Program. And what is the dose? It's written over here 150 milligram. So 150 milli, you can see over here that the copper wire is present on the horizontal stem. Ab ye next image dekho, this is what? Nova T. Okay, copper T 380 Ag. Now select with this is irregular menses. Okay? Alright, but please remember that injectable DMPA is now available under the name of Antara under our National Family Welfare Program. Next, we have one more thing. Yeah, highly effective, long lasting, and good thing is that since it contains only progesterone, it is something which can be used during lactation period also. Alright, in fact, see, during lactation period, the best thing is that IUD can be inserted if the woman is an eligible candidate. Otherwise, we can go for depot formulations, we can go for progesterone only pills, but whichever hormonal content you use should only use contain progesterone. Side effects kya hai? Like I told you, the side effects is irregular bleeding. Okay, moving ahead. Another injectable hormonal contraceptive is norethistron enanthate. ठीक है? This is what? This is also an injectable contraceptive. What is it? This is also an injectable hormonal contraceptive. Okay, injectable hormonal contraceptive, and this is actually used 200 milligram intramuscular for 2 months. This has higher failure rate than Antara. Okay, this has higher failure rate than injectable DMPA. This is not available freely under our program. Side effect is again that irregular menses. Is it clear? So you have injectable DMPA, which is available under the brand name of Antara. That is more important than norethistron enanthate. Then another hormonal contraceptive you can look at is implant. Okay, now this is implanted. Alright, now imagine, why would you want to implant a contraceptive? So again, this is not available freely, or it's not promoted under our National Family Welfare Program. But still it comes as question. It is subdermal implant contraceptive. Please remember, this is a hormonal. And yeah, what do all the hormonal contraceptives do, guys? All the hormonal contraceptives, you must be knowing, they prevent ovulation. Okay. Now, earlier in this, there were 6 elastic capsules containing 35 milligram levonorgestrel each. So, they only have levonorgestrel. Now, we have something known as Norplant R2, in which 2 capsules containing 75 milligram levonorgestrel each is inserted. Okay, there are just 2 capsules which contain what? 2 capsules here which contain only 75 milligram levonorgestrel. Now, what is done is that there are capsules or rods which are inserted beneath skin of forearm. So why would anybody want that? Okay, disadvantage is irregular menses and surgical protection, surgical procedures. Okay, so that is why they are not being promoted under a National Family Welfare Program. Okay, similarly, there's another hormonal contraceptive. This is a patch. You would ask, how is it this thing? See, it's similar to OCPs. The only thing is it's put as a patch. Okay, so it's a transdermal patch which is applied to the skin, which releases both synthetic estrogen and progesterone. So it's just like a oral contraceptive pill, guys, has both estrogen, progesterone. But the only thing in patch is that it is put as a patch. Okay, it has the same effectiveness as combined OCPs, contains estrogen, progesterone. Now you should remember that one patch will be applied for 7 days and then 3 such patches are applied successively. Alright, and on the last week, no patches needed. In the 4th week, because during this time the woman gets a period. Okay, so 1 patch is applied for 7 days and then 3 such patches are applied successively. Mechanism of action, again, it prevents ovulation. Okay, so whether it is injectable or depot formulations, whether it is implants, all of them contain only progesterone. Now patch is the one which has both estrogen and progesterone. Ye kya hai? This is a oral contraceptive pill. How can you make out? See, these are the pills and these are the last week the woman is taking the iron tablets. These iron tablets are always present in the form of ferrous fumarate, guys. Okay, and how much is the content? 60 milligram iron is there. Okay, in the last week she has to, actually OCPs are started from the first day of the periods. Okay, and then it is taken for 3 weeks. Last week, so that she doesn't forget to take medicine, we've added this iron tablets to continue with the cycle. Okay, now we all know it is of 2 types, Mala N and Mala D. Now Mala N stands for no cost. Okay, no cost. No cost means this is freely available. Okay, this is what? This is freely available under our National Family Welfare Program. Okay, Mala N for no cost. This contains both estrogen, progesterone. So levonorgestrel is 0.15 mg and ethinyl estradiol is 0.03 mg. This is, I'm sure you remember, the family planning logo. But our program is also promoting an oral contraceptive pill at minimal charge to promote behavioral change, which is social marketing scheme. वो क्या होता है? माला D. Now D for दुकान. Okay, remember D is for दुकान. So this is being provided at a minimal cost. Okay, this also has 21 OCPs and 7 iron tablets. Okay, 7 iron tablets. Same composition like this: 0.15 levonorgestrel. Okay, 0.15 milligram levonorgestrel. That is very, very important. Plus, you can see over here 0.03 milligram ethinyl estradiol. Okay, 0.03 milligram what? Ethinyl estradiol, same thing. Okay, now there is one more, Femilon. Okay, now Femilon, please remember, is very, very important. This is a new ultra low dose oral contraceptive pill in which you can see levonorgestrel is the same, 0.15 mg, progesterone amount is same, but estrogen we have further reduced to 0.02 mg. This has to be brought from the market. This is not available under National Family Welfare Program. Okay, this is not available under National Family Welfare Program. But if you need to remember Mala N and Mala D. All of these are preventing ovulation. Now, contraindications is very important. Two things contraindications you will study. One is intrauterine device and one is hormonal contraceptives. Now, absolute cancer of breast and genitals, liver disease, previous or present history of thromboembolism. Even if it's a previous history, you will not give. Okay, previous or present history of thromboembolism. Cardiac abnormalities, congenital hyperlipidemia, undiagnosed abnormal uterine bleeding. Special problems that require medical surveillance. Okay, basically relative. If a woman is over 40 years, smoking and age over 35 years. Okay, smoking, then age should over 35 years, otherwise age over 40 years. Mild hypertension, इधर renal disease है, absolute में liver था. Epilepsy, migraine. Nursing mothers never give in the first 6 months. Diabetes mellitus, gallbladder disease, history of infrequent bleeding, amenorrhea. Now, this is a very famous PYQ, that what are the non-contraceptive benefits? Okay, other than contraception, any other benefit of OCPs? Yes, they protect against benign breast disease. Don't say breast cancer. No, benign breast disorders like fibrocystic disease of breast and fibroadenoma. So they are protecting against benign breast disease. Okay, not against breast carcinoma. Ovarian cyst, iron deficiency anemia. Of course, we are taking iron tablets also. Osteoporosis, PIDs. Please remember, they also help in ectopic pregnancy. Ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer. See, it should not be put in cancer of the breast and genitals, but it is protecting from which cancer? Ectopic, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer. Please remember, this was the question asked. No protection from cervical cancer. Okay, no protection from cervical cancer, but protecting from ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer. But genitals may no protection from cervical cancer. Also can be used in dysfunction, uterine bleeding, irregular menstrual cycles, as well as dysmenorrhea. Got it? Non-contraceptive benefits, very, very important. The contraindications and this thing. All right. Yeah. Now look at this image. What is Saheli? Please remember, this is a non-steroidal hormonal contraceptive. Okay, non-steroidal hormonal contraceptive. And also remember one more thing, that it is now available under the brand name of Chaya. ठीक है, so Chaya. पहले ये सहेली तो है ही. Okay, this was also known as Saheli. Okay, that's there. Of course, it is available as Saheli. But now, National Family Welfare Program has introduced it under the name of Chaya. ठीक है, National Family Welfare Program introduced it freely. Up to which level? Freely up to level of subcenter, guys. Okay, and it is now available under the name of Chaya. Please remember that. ठीक है, it is a non-steroidal hormonal contraceptive. यहाँ पे देखो, this is also known as centchroman tablets. ठीक है, so you have to know centchroman, Saheli, now available as Chaya, as a newer contraceptive up to the freely available up to the level of subcenter. Now first, it is also known as now once a week pill, because first twice a week dena hai for 3 months, then you have to give once a week. Okay, so it's a non-steroidal oral contraceptive, brand name Saheli. And what is it? Brand name Saheli, it contains a chemical known as ormeloxifene. Okay, it is also known as centchromin tablets. Okay, centchromin, these words you need to remember, like for vaginal sponge today, non-oxynol 9. Here Saheli, centchromin tablets, chemical is ormeloxifene. It is a selective estrogen receptor modulator developed by CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute. And now it is also known as once a week pill. Please remember. Okay, plus it is now freely available. Okay, once a week pill bolte hain. It is now freely available under the level of subcenter. Okay, this is used for DUB, PCOD mein nahi dena. It is now known as once a week pill. Alright. Okay, coming to one more topic, emergency contraception. Now, mostly used is this I-pill, which is what? Levonorgestrel containing pill. Okay, it is only progesterone containing pill. Okay, what does it contain? Only progesterone. Now, you will see there's a pink color tablet which is present. Okay, and this has to be taken 1.5 milligram ka tablet hota hai, alright, which has to be taken up to 72 hours. A single tablet. Okay, which has to be taken up to 72 hours of what? Unprotected sexual intercourse. Okay, unprotected sexual intercourse. Yes, please remember, isko kya bolte hain? Interceptives. Interceptives means they are used after sexual intercourse. After sexual intercourse. Okay, they are used after sexual intercourse. And one is conventional contraceptives, which are used during sexual intercourse, like male condom, female condom, all of this. But interceptives are those which are used after sexual intercourse. So most commonly used is the I-pill or levonorgestrel containing pill. Okay, but is it the best? It's not the best. Best is which one I've told you? IUCD. Okay, this is the best emergency contraception. Okay, best emergency contraception can be used up to how many days? Can be used up to 5 days. Up to 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse. Okay, unprotected sexual. Ye sabse acha hai, alright? But is it preferred? Not preferred. Why? Because see, who's going to need an emergency contraception? Mostly women who are young adolescents, they have not given birth, or even newly married couple, they don't want any children. Okay, so it's not preferred because it should not be used in a nulliparous. Okay, it's not preferable to use it in a nulliparous. Plus any other method which is used as emergency contraception. So previously, just know the name, there was a method known as YASP method, which is the combined oral contraceptive pill. Okay, this is what? Combined OCP, has levonorgestrel as well as ethinyl estradiol. Ulipristal was also being used. Okay, it's a selective progesterone receptor modulator. Okay, and mifepristone, they ask you all the following can be used as emergency contraception except something like that. So mifepristone could also be used 600 milligram single dose within 72 hours, but they are not preferred. Okay, most preferred is I-pill. All right. Best is IUCD. YASP method was famous before. Okay, it's combined OCP. Ulipristal is only a progesterone receptor modulator, and mifepristone can also be used. Coming to the last part, now we have permanent methods of family planning. So when I talk about permanent methods, guys, we have vasectomy, tubectomy. Most important, please remember, vasectomy is the cost-effective method. Okay, it's the cost-effective method. Plus, it has least failure rate. It has least failure rate. But guys, do you think it is common in India? Not at all. Okay. So minimum length of vas is cut for effective sterilization. This is a PYQ. How much of vas deferens should be cut? More than equal to 1 centimeter, up to 1 centimeter. Alright. Then what is the advice given after vasectomy? Advice given after vasectomy. Please remember that if a male person gets a vasectomy done, he is not sterile immediately. No, the couple needs to use a barrier method up to 3 months post vasectomy, or till they are 30 ejaculations free. Okay, the male male person is 30 ejaculations free. So barrier method should be used up to 3 months or till 30 ejaculations free. And now we prefer non-scalpel vasectomy. No stitches required, daycare procedure. What is the most common cause of failure of vasectomy in India? Misidentification of vas deferens. Okay, misidentification of vas deferens is the most common cause of failure of vasectomy in India. Okay, you need to cut up to 1 centimeter of vas deferens. If that is wrongly identified, that is the most common cause. And please remember the advice to be given, very, very important. Now, what is the eligibility criteria, guys? Do you need your husband or wife's approval for sterilization? No. Remember that. A woman also, if she wants to get IUD insertion, she doesn't need anybody's approval. Male sterilization, married or ever married. Okay. Married people only. The age group less than 60 years. And this is very important. At least one child more than 1 year. This is very confusing. You often say that 2 children. Nahin. Ek bacha, 1 child up to 1 year is sufficient. No past history of sterilization in self or spouse and is of sound mind. Okay? If they are mentally ill, they have to be certified by psychiatrists that they are, and we need a statement on soundness of mind by legal guardian. Okay? Now, you can have a conventional vasectomy which is done by a trained MBBS doctor, but now we prefer non-scalpel vasectomy. Look, 1 centimeter vas deferens is removed. Ends are ligated. Failure rate बहुत कम है, hardly. Sometimes operative complications like pain and infection, sperm granules appear. This is important. Actually, vasectomy is important more than tubectomy for your answers. Sperm granules definitely appear after 10 to 14 days, but they eventually subside. Autoimmune response, antibodies to sperm may form, although they are harmless and carry no significance. So, sperm granules, are they dangerous? No. Subside kar jate hain. Autoimmune response, nothing to worry about. Psychological effect it does have on some people. And spontaneous recanalization can happen. Okay? Female sterilization, again, the only thing that I want you to note over here is the eligibility criteria. Married or ever married, 22 to 49. Male में क्या था? Less than 60. Female reproductive age group is up to 49 years, so 22 to 49. Again, at least 1 child more than 1 year of age. ठीक है? मतलब 1 year तक होना चाहिए, up to 1 year of age. No past history of sterilization, sound mind. Same thing for mentally ill, has to be certified. We can go for a mini lab by a trained MBBS doctor, but now what is being preferred? Laparoscopic sterilization by a DGO, diploma in gynae, MD gynae or MS surgeon. And last thing, what is the timing of sterilization? When should you do? Like, you have the timing of IUD insertion, right? Best is during menses or first 7 days of menstrual cycle, but the most receptive period is immediate postpartum, that is post placental or late postpartum up to 48 hours. ठीक है? But sterilization में क्या होता है? Interval sterilization. Within 7 days of menstrual cycle, okay, it can be inserted within 7 days of menstrual cycle in the follicular phase. Postpartum, please remember this. This is important. Can be inserted between sometime, yes, 24 hours to 7 days. Actually, क्या होता है ना guys? Immediately after delivery, if you get a tubectomy done, okay, the tubes are edematous, so chance of failure rate is slightly there. Okay, so we give it at least some time. Postpartum sterilization is between 24 hours to 7 days of delivery. Sterilization with MTP can be done, this thing. Okay, all right. So this was about contraceptive. I've tried to present to you in a very short manner. I hope it will help you in your revision. Thank you so much.